All right, so this is the player recap and reflections for last night's Barrowmaze session, lucky number 13, featuring the OSR Dragon Slayer, both by Greg Gillespie. Fantastic. If you have not seen them, if you love OSR gaming and you dig Mega Dungeons, I'm telling you, you can't go wrong. LOA ran this. He's our MC, Maze Controller. That's what the MC is in Dragon Slayer. So, of course, we refer to him by his uh, title, right? We're just PCs, player characters. I don't think there's any fancy title for us. Victims, sheep, I don't know. But I'm playing a female fighter, Vela. Jose is playing Donald the Clearwater, a male ranger. And of course, Jorge is playing a male paladin, Felonious. And we were missing 3 players last night. Fine, this is a pickup. This is a drop-in, drop-out campaign. We try to play. I mean, if there's one guy shows up, we probably wouldn't play. Maybe 2, we might push it. But 3, we're going to run it because we also have an entourage of torchbearers and soldiers that are hirelings. It has been the single most interesting piece of this experience for me. As again, I've GM'd for a long, long time, and I've told people get hirelings. I've had veteran players grab hirelings when they could, but it's the first time really as a player that we consciously said we're not doing this without numbers, and it has been rewarding as heck. So, Barrowmaze session 13, because there's only 3 of us, we chose last session 12, ended with the us investigating a mound. And as we were leaving that mound, we encountered skeletons came pouring in on us, wandering monster, and we battles these skeletons. I don't know how many, but ultimately we survived, and the curtain falls at the end of that. We open literally with the curtains open on session 13 with us just vanquishing these skeletons, discussing quickly what we want to do. We decide we're going to move on. We're going to stay above ground, and we're going to go ahead and try to find and scout out more mounds. So for those watching, we have not gone back into the Barrowmaze on purpose for many sessions, and I love it. I mean, we are enjoying just the surface has been fantastic for Barrowmaze. So, I mean, listen, you don't have to go into the mega dungeon if you're having a blast up top, right? That in this towns, we've had a great time. So it's just been everything's covered, right? You don't have to just go into a hole in the ground and never come out again, right? We've also been very strategic. We are careful to get in and out and back to town before sundown. We have not camped out in the mounds or at the dungeon. We have stayed overnight in Bogstown. We have stayed overnight. I think we stayed overnight in Iron Mott when we were guarding the caravan. We've stayed overnight. Obviously, Helix is our hometown, but we are very systematic and we are very professional. We are professional treasure hunters. We're professional soldiers. We're professional rangers. It's what we do. And so we're treating it like our characters are professionals. We're aware of what the hell we're doing. And so we've been vigilant about not putting our characters in just bad decisions. Now, that may get harder to do as we foray deeper into the dungeons, but I don't know. So I say we haven't been to the Barrowmaze on purpose in the last few sessions because this session we accidentally found another entrance into the maze, and it was very, very cool. And Jose, sharp as attack, spotted it. So that, or I should say, not Jose. Jose is not that bright, but his ranger, his character is badass. Jose, he's okay, but the ranger, sharp cat. All right. So anyway, it was fantastic. So we hit 2 or 3 mounds. We I would say half the mounds that we investigated were requiring excavation. So we marked those on the map because we're gonna have to come back with a crew of laborers and excavate these mounds. We found a couple that we needed to go into. And of course, we spotted a lot headed home back to Helix. Lots of mounds that we've now marked on the map that we're gonna. So we literally have session after session. We have lots of mounds to investigate in the barrel mounds. So it's fantastic. But in particular, we ended up finding a mound that had a high water table. It was flooded, so it was muddy, it was mucky. We were seeing the ranger spotted tracks coming in and out of this mound, and sure enough, we teased the water at the entrance of the mound, drawing out 3 giant toads. Our paladin and ranger wiped these toads out. Toot sweet. We investigate. We didn't want to go into this because it was, well, we did go in. I forget. That's right. We went in. Again, for my character, probably shoulder high, maybe not quite that high, but we waded into that mound. We didn't find anything of, oh yeah, we did. We uncovered in a muck, like a mound of muck in a flooded mound. We dug out candlesticks worth about 24 gold. The ranger dug those out. We evacuated that mound, headed to another one. Along the way there, as we were circumnavigating around that mound, investigating, and I was on top of the mound looking, our ranger stumbled across a giant python, about 50 feet long, hiding in the grass, the deep, swampy, mucky grass. And he and the paladin waylaid this giant snake. Now, I had something to do with it, but really, firing crossbow bolts, wasn't really engaged in melee at this point. And the paladin with this magic rod that can be an axe, a flaming sword, a spear. It's the Swiss Army weapon of magic weapons, and it is sweet. And he's waylaying stuff, is our paladin with this weapon. And so they waylay this giant python, and we investigate that. That's a mound that has to be excavated. We crawl over or hike over to yet another one, and there we are while about to sunder the door on this one with three of us with sledgehammers. We're set upon by poisonous frogs. Fortunately, the ranger spots them. The ranger also recognizes by their coloring that they're poisonous, and he calls it out. And we don't mess around with these poisonous frogs. We waylay them as fast as possible. So we had a lot of action last night. We got very little treasure, and that's okay. I mean, you're not going to always hit pay dirt when you're investigating for treasure. We have had some sessions where it really did make our early start. But last night, for all the action and some of the dangers we encountered, we didn't get a lot of treasure. So at that point, we decided we had seen quite a bit. And we go into this mound, which no, actually we sundered the door. There wasn't much in that one, I think, right? I can't remember now. Yeah, it was empty, I believe. Shoot, I can't remember. But anyway, we crawl over to another mound. We march over to another mound. This mound, the door's breached. And as we enter, we see the ranger spots boot tracks that are muddied. Somebody stops going into the mound, and they actually clear the mud off their boots. So they were consciously trying to not leave tracks inside the mound. To an open sarcophagus, it's empty. The ranger, again, the ranger being a smart man, says, check the bottom of that sarcophagus. So I, with my broadsword, tap the bottom, and we can tell it's hollow. So Vela climbs on top with her sledgehammer and proceeds to break the bottom out of this sarcophagus, and it leads to stairway down. We all pile in and down into a very narrow hallway, one single file. We come out into a 10-foot space. We notice there's like a crossroads, north to south, and we realize, okay, we might be back in the Barrowmaze. We're pretty sure we're back in the Barrowmaze. We found another entrance to the Barrowmaze, or as Vela said, or an exit, because I like to know how to get the hell out if I'm getting in. So we now have another entrance/exit. And as we're starting to turn around and leave, as we realize, okay, we don't want to go too far. Oh, yeah. Okay. We sundered the door. Let's go back. Let's backtrack. We sundered the door on that mound. We were attacked by the poisonous frogs. We wiped them out. We went in, and there was an altar, a lectern, a relief of a hooded figure showing him casting something from his hands, black eyes, gray face. These were all reliefs on the walls. And at the lectern was a sealed yellow tome. And without reading it, we scooped it up. It had a latch and key, I think, lock on it. And we just stuffed that in a bag. We didn't try to read it. We didn't want to do anything with it. And we discussed we're taking it directly back to the wizard. This is something the wizard has been talking about he wants. He wants stuff like this. He may not want this book, but this is something he's obviously hungry for. So we think, jackpot. We're not about to do anything with it. None of us here are magical anyway. So that was what happened at the mound. We sundered the door, right? We found this yellow book. I think it's locked, but it has a latch on it. Okay, it has a strap and a latch. Anyway, back to the underground entrance exit to Barrowmaze. We figure we're about 300 feet further east. And so we figure we went probably 200 feet inside Barrowmaze from the main entrance, the great entrance. So where we're at now is about another 100 feet east of as far as we had gone inside. So I don't know exactly where we're at. Like, if the grade entrance is here on the map, or let's say here on the map, right? We are east of that. We could be northeast of that, southeast. I don't know, but we're like another 100 yards east of the furthest spot we'd ever gone underground. So we know that it goes at least 300. And again, we're pretty certain this thing goes for miles and miles. I mean, it's an epic dungeon, right? Or an epic maze. Anyway, we're headed out, and on the way out, Jose, who's seen the map, I think he recollected from having seen the map the wizard gave us that, hey, wait a minute, this resembles what we saw on the map. So we break out the map, we look at the map, sure enough, we're pretty certain this is a map the wizard gave us. It's called a partial map. And he gave us this map and said, hey, if you're ever around this area, he marked some stuff on the map for us. So we now know, not only did we get back into the Barrowmaze from here, but we're pretty certain that this map, what we've seen of this area reminds us of what's on this map. So now we've got this map. We're pretty certain we found an entrance into this area, and we know this area is important to the wizard. So something of value is in this segment of the Barrowmaze, and we have a map for it. As long as we're in the right spot, we have the map for it. So this was a great session. Lots of combat, which I love. I mean, I like the combat. And then we explored. We learned where there's more mounds. We've uncovered no treasure, but yet we found an entrance exit. We found this yellow book, which I think is probably pretty badass. And more importantly, we now have, we think, an entrance, and we have a map that maybe we can use to find these things of value with the wizard. So we head back and we cross. And as we do, we're literally marking on our map mounds that we're seeing as we're passing east or southwest back across the mounds to the exit of the moors of the mounds. And just as we're closing in on the exit so we can head back to town, we hear the howls and the snarls and the snaps and the cries of wolves as we stop and see a pack of wolves coming at us as the curtain falls. So again, next session will open in media res, and we will have to watch the paladin make mincemeat of these wolves, right? So anyway, great fun. I'm tired. I had a lot to do this morning, and I got stuff to do this afternoon. I wasn't going to do a recap. I asked Eloy if he could maybe squeeze it in. He confirmed that he couldn't get it done in time, and then I would have said, that's fine, I can do it tomorrow or the next day, right? Well, then Dale pops his head up in Discord, says, dude, I'll just watch the thing and I'll recap it. Hell no. You didn't make the session. If you don't come to the session, you don't get to recap the session from watching the video. You can't recap what you don't belong to. You can't recap what you don't participate in. No. So I'm doing this. Anyway, everybody, Barrowmaze, great fun. I started to rush this, but again, I got a lot to do, so I wanted to get this done. Everybody have a wonderful weekend and enjoy this hobby. It's great fun. Bye.